How y'all doing, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my NFL 2024 NFL Playoffs Wildcard Round picks. Before I get into the wildcard round and what my picks are going to be, I just want to take this time to give a few quick words right now because obviously this video is very, very late, and obviously if you're wondering where the video was or where I've been or anybody who watches this video or is going to care or anything like that, obviously I live in Southern California, and obviously anybody who's heard the news already about what has been going on here, we're dealing with wildfires out here, and I barely got my power back on as at the time of this video, and I was pretty close to evacuating, but unfortunately that one of the fires did not get as worse as original that it could have been, because where I live we live close to hills, and the winds get strong in my area. And obviously, we lost power. I lost power for 3 days. I just barely got it back. And obviously, you know, I was fortunate and lucky, but unfortunately, I mean, if you heard in the news and all that, just so much destruction right now, and a lot of people that lost loved ones. And as a native Californian, it hurts right now because I can't imagine what a lot of these people are going through right now. And like I said, I don't want to show any emotion on camera or anything like that because this is all about football and all that. And I'm in no position to be asked. I'm in no position or asking you to help out or donate or anything like that. There's already a lot of organizations, the American Red Cross, and a lot of other local organizations or any sort of national help is there for a lot of people right now who desperately need help. Obviously, because they lost not only their homes, some people may have lost loved ones, animals. It's just been horrific. It's just devastating. It's breaking my heart right now. And that's the reason why this video is so late. Hopefully, this video will definitely go up before midnight Pacific time to convene before the playoff games start on Saturday. So that's basically it, my friends. I don't want to recap of what happened in week number 18 because we need to get straight to the picks right now. And obviously, I'm going to try to get this video as short as possible because there are 6 games we need to talk about. And I got to try to make this as short as possible here because obviously with everything that's happened, and there's still possibilities I might have another power outage or anything like that. So obviously, yeah, that's basically what's been going on for me. And obviously, if you want to help, you can check out on the internet and all American Red Cross or whatever organization or anything like that can help out a lot of people in Southern California. Anyways, it's playoff time, everybody, and that is going to be one thing that does kind of help distract a little bit from what's been going on. But it's going to be hard because, as you can see, I'm wearing my Chargers gear. The Chargers are in the playoffs, and obviously, I try not to be a homer or anything like that when I do picks, and I'm trying not to be as biased. But obviously, the Chargers haven't been in the playoffs since that choke job against Jacksonville, and obviously the chargering and all that stuff. Anyways, let's talk about Super Wildcard Weekend, my friends. Where the playoffs are finally here, and the road to New Orleans begins this weekend on Saturday with the wild card round. Obviously, we know in the AFC, the Chiefs are the ones that are the number 1 seed. They get the first round bye, and in the NFC, the Lions are the number 1 seed, and they get the first round bye. So now, the way I'm going to work this video out, I will begin with the AFC playoff games first, and then the NFC playoff games will be last. Anyways, let's talk about wild card weekend, everybody. As I said, we'll begin with the AFC games first. AFC wildcard game, the Chargers versus the Texans. The Chargers are a slight 3-point favorite in this one, and I think that number will probably go to 2.5, maybe 2. Herbert in number 18 was 28 of 36, 346 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions to secure the number 5 seed in this matchup with the Texans. CJ Stroud didn't play much in week 18 because obviously they were preparing for the playoffs and all that. I look at this football game right now for these two teams right now. There is just a lot of question marks for this Houston Texans team. When it looked like the Texans throughout the entire season were supposed to be taking that next step forward in terms of what they could do in the postseason. But unfortunately, injuries have really killed this team. They've already lost 2 of their best wide receivers already this season-ending injuries. And already CJ Stroud is under enormous pressure and to get any sort of playmaking done or any sort of running game. Now, for the Chargers, it doesn't get much easier for them either. Even though despite the fact their defense has slightly gotten a little bit better, and obviously Justin Herbert and the offense are finally clicking. but there's question marks going into this game because a lot of players are questionable, including J.K. Robbins. That's critical to their running game, and obviously we don't know the status of Palmer. We don't know if some other players right now that the Chargers could have that could be missing some key components to those playmaking plays that Justin Herbert can do. But when I look at this football game, I think that the Texans just have way too many question marks going into this game, and I don't know how healthy they are. C.J. Stroud is really struggling and all that, and you would think that this Texan team would finally take that next step to possibly getting maybe to the AFC Championship game, but the injuries are going to be too much to this thing and to get around. It's going to be hard for this Texans to beat the Chargers. This will be a football game. This will not be a blowout. This will be a very, very close game, which will definitely go into the fourth quarter. But I think the Chargers and their offense, I think, will get it done. The Chargers defense is just a little bit better than the Texans defense, and that's why I'm going to pick the Chargers in this one here. I think the Chargers will make it to the divisional round, and Justin Herbert will finally get his first playoff win, which he desperately needs, because this is a player, despite all his rookie stats and throughout his first 4 years in the league, he needs a playoff win. And this is probably his last shot to get a playoff win, because we don't really know what the Chargers will do in the offseason, because they do have a lot of free agents. And who knows who will be back with the team. So if there's any sort of question marks now for this Charger team, and it's really put up or shut up time now for Justin Herbert and that Charger team to get beyond that terrible collapse job against Jacksonville a few years ago. So I look at it this way: the Chargers, I think will finally get a playoff win here. I think the Texans injury amounts it's just going to be too hard to overcome. I'm going to pick the Chargers in this one here, even though a lot of you are going to say I'm biased on that one. But I just think the Chargers are a little bit more healthier than the Texans are, but it will be a football game. They're a 3-point favorite in this one here. I'm going to pick the Chargers -3 in this one here. All right, going into the next AFC wildcard game, it is the Steelers versus the Ravens, the third meeting between these two teams this season. The Ravens are an 8.5-point favorite in this one here, and I would say that is probably about just right. There is many question marks the way that the Steelers finished the regular season, and Russell Wilson, the way he played against the Bengals, and how that offense really struggled, and their defense, you would think that would come up with some big plays. Obviously, they couldn't stop Joe Burrow on that Cincy offense. Russell Wilson in that game was 17 of 31, 148 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, while Lamar Jackson in the game against the Browns to wrap up the AFC North Division was 16 of 32, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. There is a question mark going into this game for Flowers in terms of is he questionable to play in this game? That kind of is a blow to the Ravens offense a bit. But I really think the key is to give the ball to Henry. Give the ball to King Harry, and he'll take it as far as he can take this team, and that offense is something that Lamar Jackson has been itching to. Because there's a lot of question marks on that Pittsburgh Steelers defense right now. T.J. Watt is not 100%. He's dealing with injuries, and obviously that defensive line has, believe it or not, has been kind of depleted. And especially the Steelers have struggled a lot on the road. And you would think that Mike Tomlin would have some sort of game plan and all that. But when you have Arthur Smith as your OC, what is up with Wilson? Why is he making so many mistakes and bad plays that cost them games? And that's one of the reasons why the Ravens have been a little bit back on track in terms of the way they're playing. And I'm going to pick the Ravens here. I think the Ravens will finish the Steelers in this one here. I think that Lamar Jackson and all that, they know full well their time is running short in trying to get back to the AFC title game, and knowing full well what's to come after the season, because they too also have a lot of free agents in the offseason. I'm going to pick the Ravens here. I think, to me, the Steelers are kind of depleted a bit. They don't know. I don't know what we're going to get out of this, but expect this to be a football game. But I think the Ravens will probably win the fourth quarter easily, and they'll probably beat the Steelers. I don't know if they're going to cover. I don't know if they're going to cover on this one here, because I think this game will be much closer than that last game. But I'm picking the Ravens here. I think they'll beat the Steelers here. The Ravens will advance to the divisional round. I'm going to pick the Ravens over the Steelers. And the last AFC wildcard game, it is the Broncos versus the Bills. The Bills are an 8.5-point favorite in this one here, and I would say that that's about right. Bo Nix in a playoff clinching scenario last week against a JV KC team was 26 of 29, 321 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Josh Allen only had one snap in the game against the Pats, basically was meaningless, but you know for a while they need to rest up most of their starters to get ready for this game. There's going to be some key question marks now with that defense. Can that defense get to Josh Allen of the Broncos? That Bronco defense. Can they get to Josh Allen, and can they really disrupt some plays? Because before that victory over a JV squatted Kansas City team, just to get into the postseason, remember, they lost to the Bengals and they lost to the Chargers. So you got to wonder right now against good teams, and especially in a very hostile environment in Buffalo and cold weather, you got to wonder if the Broncos are going to have enough to survive in this game. The Bills are on a mission. Even though they do have some players questionable in this game, but this is Bo Nix's first playoff game and all that. I don't know if he's ready. I mean, he's had a spectacular rookie season, and no question he's going to be a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle this big stage now in the NFL playoffs, which I don't know if he's ready yet. I mean, the Broncos got in with defense mostly, and their offense really was pretty adequate. I like the Bills in this game. This one's kind of an easy pick here because I think that the Bills, they know what's at stake They know what's at stake later on in the playoffs, and they're on a mission themselves to get to the AFC title game where they know the Chiefs will be waiting for them. And you don't think that Josh Allen, that Buffalo Bills team, you don't think that they're on a mission and they will not be stopped. I like the Bills in this one here. The Broncos are not ready for this yet. I think the Bills will easily hand the Broncos I think this game won't even be close, to be honest. I think it'll be kind of a blowout, but Broncos might make it a game, but I think that the Bills will run away with it in the fourth quarter. I think the Bills win this one here. Bills over the Broncos. All right, let's move over now to the NFC games. NFC wildcard game now. The Packers versus the Eagles. The Eagles are 4.5-point favorite. Probably might go to 4, maybe 3.5. Jordan Love was only 7 of 12, 69 yards because he did get injured in the first half, which he will play, but now it just brings some question marks now on how healthy he is. And also, they're not going to have Watson. He's done for the season. He's done for the rest of the NFL season. And obviously, some other key injuries that they have here. The Packers are kind of going into this game basically wounded, and especially the loss to the Bears, which really made this matchup happen. The Eagles really didn't play much last week, even though, like I said, they rested their starters, and obviously Barkley didn't go for the record. But I'm not a big fan of Nick Sirianni, but I think just for this case, I think he did the right thing because he knows the playoffs matter, and Saquon Barkley knows that this is his best shot to get to the Super Bowl with this team. And given the fact that he's on a mission themselves in that running game, and that's going to be question mark. It's going to be a question mark with that Green Bay defense. The Packers defense is good, but are they going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley if he starts getting into a groove? And Jalen Hurts is coming back from concussion protocol, and there's a lot of question marks on that too, and how healthy he is. But I think in this game, the Eagles are just the better team here. If the Packers were healthy, then I could maybe consider them as more of the favorite in this one here. But the Packers are walking in wounded. We don't know how Justin Love's health is going into this game, and there's just way too many question marks going in there. I like the Eagles in this one here at -4.5. I think they'll cover, and I think they'll beat the Packers in this one here. The Eagles are going to be too much for the Packers to handle. I like the Eagles in this one here. The Eagles will get to the divisional round in this one here. It's not going to be like last year where the Packers were able to dismantle a second-seeded Cowboys team that basically they had problems going into that game. The Eagles are much more better prepared in this one here. I don't think the Packers will win this one here. I like the Eagles in this one here. Eagles over the Packers. NFC wildcard game, the Commanders versus the Buccaneers. The Bucs are a 3-point favorite in this one here, and I expect that number to go to 2.5, maybe 2 before this game on Sunday night. Jaden Daniels didn't play much in week number 18. Actually, he almost didn't play much at all. So obviously they were resting up for the postseason, and Marcus Mariota did a fantastic job of getting that Washington Commanders team in that last-second touchdown against the Cowboys. But Baker Mayfield and the Bucs had to put their starters in basically because they had to win the division in order to get in the NFC South. Baker Mayfield was 21 of 32, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had 1 interception. I think it boils down for a couple things here for the Commanders here. Is Jaden Daniels ready for this? This is his first playoff game, and the way I mean, Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, obviously for Rookies of the Year. Hard to say who would win that one. I mean, Bo Nix is kind of the favorites to win that one, as well as Jaden Daniels. I take that back that Bo's going to win it, but I think Jaden Daniels might win it, or something like that. So it's hard to tell who's going to win that category. But talking about this football game here, is this Washington offense finally clicking and back on track? Because their last few games, they had to really fight till the bitter end just to clinch a playoff berth, because you give in their games, I mean, their offense really struggled in the last 3 games. Even though they did win all 3. But I'm going to pick the Buccaneers in this one here. Baker Mayfield has more playoff experience more than Jaden Daniels. Obviously, I know the Bucs can be a little bit more healthy. Obviously, they have one player that's out for the season and all that. But obviously, Mike Evans is healthy and all that. And given how their offense has really, I mean, given the playoff experience that the Bucs have had mostly, I just think that Baker Mayfield and the Bucs will barely beat the Commanders in this one here, because Baker Mayfield knows he's more dangerous than Jaden Daniels here. Jaden Daniels will have a lot more time to prove later on in his career, but I don't think they're going to beat the Bucs in this one here. I like the Buccaneers in this one here. I think that their defense will definitely step up in this game and really disrupt Jaden Daniels a lot. And Baker Mayfield and that offense, they'll definitely click in this one here. It's going to be a close game. No question, it'll be definitely be a very, very, very close game on Sunday night. But I like the Buccaneers to beat the Commanders in this one here. I'm going to pick the Bucs at -3 on this one here, Buccaneers over the Commanders. And finally, the last wildcard game, NFC wildcard game, Vikings versus the Rams. FYI, this game has been moved to Arizona, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Because of the wildfires, the game was scheduled to be at SoFi, but obviously the game had to be moved because of all the smoke and everything that's been happening in Los Angeles. There's no way to play this game, and given many road closures, I mean, anybody who lives in LA who knows the area very well, it's a traffic nightmare just getting to SoFi because of that 405. So the game is moved to Arizona, and the Vikings are 2.5-point favorite in this one here, and I would say that's probably right. Sam Darnold was 18 of 41, which is a very interesting stat there. 166 yards, no touchdowns, but luckily he didn't get intercepted in that game. And a big-time whooping loss to the Lions in week number 18. Matthew Stafford and the Rams rested a lot of their starters back in week 18, and obviously they ended up as the 4 seed. It's really, let's see what the Vikings are made of in this one here. They did meet in the regular season. The Rams actually beat them. But obviously the Vikings had some problems going into that game in terms of injuries and all, and the Rams were able to take advantage of it. Now the question is, can Sam Darnold and the Vikings click and get back on track? Because they know full well this is the game right here that could decide who will play the line. Who might play the line. If given my predictions of what I gave you right now, this game probably will decide who goes to Detroit and face the Lions in the divisional round. I think the Vikings and their offensive weaponry in terms of their wide receivers, they kind of have the better playmakers here, but you can never count out Cooper Kupp and Nakua in the way and Matthew Stafford in it. This is going to be a very, very tight football game. The Rams are kind of like a thorn, you know? You think that you can destroy them, but they find a way to really just poke at you and make this game a football game. The Rams winning the division this year, which was unexpected because it looked like they were going to be in a rebuilding mode. You got to wonder right now, could this Rams team upset the Vikings in this one here, even though despite the fact the Rams are the 4 seed? I don't see it happening here because I think the Vikings have the better playmakers in Addison and Jefferson. I think Sam Darnold will get back on track here. I think they'll get the revenge from that regular season meeting. I'm going to pick the Vikings here at -2.5 here. I think they'll end any sort of hope that the Rams might or any sort of confidence that the Rams have here, because the Vikings want that rematch with the Lions so bad, and they know full well that they got to deal with the Rams first. And obviously it's going to be in a neutral site given the circumstance of what's happening. I just think the Vikings are the better team. I'm going to pick the Vikings at -2.5 over the Rams. All right, everybody, that's it. I'll talk to you guys next week when I make my picks for the NFL playoffs divisional round. For all of my people who watch this video from Southern California and all that, please be safe. And of course, I'm thinking about you guys, obviously those that lost so much already. I'll be praying for every one of you, and I will say to everybody, be safe and all that, and especially a lot of you people in the East Coast that are dealing with snow and wintry weather right now. Please be safe. Please, it's very important that we pray to God for all of our safety. I know a lot of you may not be religious, but that's how I rule. Talk to you guys next week. Take care.